I feel like I've grown up in the Giants organization. It's been
Yeah.
only like 6 years since I set foot in there, but
Yep.
I, I learned about the role, right? So obviously as an intern, I got a great like overview understanding of the baseball operations world at the professional
Yep.
level, but then transitioning to GE, I learned a lot more about business and even like entrepreneurship by
Yeah.
way of like learning from you and learning from Scott. And
Scott's an amazing teacher. He teaches me every day. He took me to
yes,
school this morning on yeah.
yeah, so I had plenty of school days with Scott.
Yeah.
um,
And we're
but
referencing Scott Anderson, who's the co-founder of Soul Focus, and Soul Focus being the one of the owner of Run Local. So Scott's he's the behind the scenes guy who would never like anybody talking about him or his name to appear in a podcast, which is a great reason to talk about him, just
yeah,
to frustrate him even more.
totally, he's gonna hate this.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I learned so much about like one, I think a big thing and an important thing that I hope so many people can learn is how to navigate a variety of personalities
Mm,
and um, even egos, and like stay within yourself and continue to like move the needle forward. I think so
that's great.
often we'll kind of get bombarded with, different people that they work for or work with, and
Hmm.
then they kind of get like that feeling of just getting bogged down and just like not being able to take ownership of anything. And I think I just learned how to stay like, not stay in my own lane, but just understand like what I felt was going to help this organization or help this race or something, and kind of be able to brainstorm or come to the table with creative ideas. And
Yep.
even if they weren't good ideas, like I was okay with that. And I felt like even sharing them
Yeah.
and then having, a lot of people around the table like talk about it and share their ideas. I think that that was just really really important. Even in, the world today, so many people think that it's their way or the highway, or like
Right.
they're not open to a variety of perspectives. And I think what the Giants have taught me, and just in the different roles, is the more perspectives you can have in a room, like the it's going to be hard to kind of get to whatever that end goal is, but it's
Right.
going to be elite
Yeah.
because you're looking at it from so many different angles. So I really learned how to just, if there's a problem or if there's an idea that we want to execute, how can I look at this from every single angle? And
Mm.
I, because I worked with so many different types of people, I'm I think I'm a lot better now than I was 5 years ago at looking at something and seeing it from a lot of different angles.
Wow, that's really interesting. I think you said two really interesting things there. There is a bit of a DNA at the Giants that has had that level of creativity for a long time. There was a guy by the name of Pat Gallagher. I don't know if you ever heard of
Mm-hmm.
him, but we're talking back in Candlestick days. He was early GE. I know he's a bit of a mentor to Sarah Hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so then you're talking about Sarah Hunt, who thinks about things really creatively and is a really powerful woman in the Giants organization at the leadership level, a big influence on me as well. But there's a DNA there that has been passed down, and I'm curious if you can really put your finger on it. Is it creativity? Is it the idea of doing something different, or is it just being open to doing something different?
I think
Or do
it.
you know? Yeah.
I think. Well, I think it's a variety of things. I think a
Yeah.
big part of it, and like a big structure to that DNA, is again what we talked about earlier, like reaching a goal and then
Mm,
like celebrate it, have a beer that night, but then um, you're not satisfied. So how do we raise
yeah.
the bar even higher? So it's this mentality of never settling.
Yeah.
And there's a great mixture of like celebrating like when we finish an event, or
Right.
we executed something that we had been planning for a year or some.
Right.
But then it's like, okay, let's turn the page and let's build upon this. How can
Yeah.
we make it even better? And it's like staying hungry while also staying humble, I
Mm,
think, is a very like common trait among a lot of the leaders in the Giants organization.
yeah. That's cool. And I've seen a lot of that. Um, but it still takes the person then, I think, to fit into that organization. Like the person who wants to put their foot down and make it their way or the highway is probably not going to last that long in that type of environment, because you can't row the boat with one person, especially with a lot of different creative minds. So I'm curious, what do you think prepared you? Was it part of your community or your family or parents or coaches or what? Anything in particular that like gave you that perspective to be flexible and to see that like, oh, we're going to make this is a team thing. I know how to get a team goal done or something like that. Because I assume,
I think it's being,
were there any influences or a lot of different people? I don't
yeah, I'd say like it stemmed from being an athlete and playing a
know.
variety of sports and being really competitive, but not ever, well, some may argue, I don't know, but not ever like that, just over competitive where it's unhealthy, but it's
Yeah.
more like competitive within yourself where, okay, if I'm stepping onto the court or onto the field, it's it's war. Like I'm going to
Yeah.
war for my teammates. I'm going
Yeah.
to war for whatever it is like I'm wearing across my chest.
Hmm.
And also, I think it's just a responsibility to respect the game, whatever game you're playing, but you have a responsibility to respect it. And that means, in my opinion, playing 110%.
Right.
Um, and I think that mentality, like I've took into the corporate world, took into the
Yeah.
Giants organization, and I know that I could never win a game, but solely by the way I played. I had to
Mm.
rely and encourage and raise the bar and have the bar raised by others, with my teammates. And I think that is really the foundation of the person that I am. And I think it's no different when you get into an office setting, regardless of, whatever workplace you're in, is understanding like, okay, if we're gonna if we want to execute this idea or if we want to take this next step in this next business venture, I need to I love like I need to make sure I'm surrounding myself with people that make me not the smartest person in the room. Like
Yeah.
I want to be in the middle of like the most unique, creative, yet humble minds. And I think
Yep.
that's just um, where like you really see growth in teams or in organizations.
It
And
is.
also like the concept of psychological safety is really important. Like
Tell me about that.
we kind of touched on mental health in the beginning,
Yeah.
just about like graduating college and going through
Yeah.
like a dark time. And, you want to be in an area where either it's like the people you work for or the people you work with provide this space where you can share your ideas, even if they're not right or they
Right.
don't work out, but like encouraging you to continue to come to the table with your thoughts, with your opinions, and with your own research that you've done. I think sometimes people are scared of saying the wrong thing and
Right.
like then people are just going to look at them as that girl that came to the table with like the wrong answer. But like if you think
Right.
back to how many tables you've sat at where
Yeah.
somebody said something that's like not totally right, you haven't dwelled on that.
No, I
You
don't think
forget
about that
about
person. I'm
it.
like, they just missed the mark on that one,
Yeah,
or whatever it is.
but
But at
then
least
like
they said something, as opposed to like quiet person who's like, is that person even here right now? Are they on their phone the entire time? What are they doing?
exactly. So kind of just creating like a space where one, like you can be yourself, but also like be continuing to be challenged, but feel good in that challenge and know like this is for a greater good for the organization and for myself.
Mm, yeah, that's cool. And I think that's why maybe it's worked out so well with you and the Giants. Like it seems like a good fit, because able to, um, if you're able to not only flourish in that environment, then it's seemingly you could flourish in almost any environment, because there's a way that, soul focus is similar in that there's very little hierarchy in our company. While I may be like in charge of it or founded it or something, I'm don't feel bad taking out the trash. You know what I mean? It's like, because if I'm taking out the trash, then they'll see that they can take out the trash or whatever it's going to be, and
Mm-hmm.
creating that environment. It's like really just kind of create a safe space.
Yeah.
To
I'm
make fun of me too is usually the end of it.
yeah,
I don't know why that seems to be everyone's favorite thing lately, because it's the
it's a
space
good
has become too safe. Let's just say that.
thing. Yeah. No, start to put up some boundaries. No, don't.
Exactly. Whoa, whoa,
Great.
whoa, whoa. Yeah. Okay. So you're at the Giants for 5 years. Are there Has there been a history of female executives at the Giants, or I mean, we touched on Sarah, who's had a big impact there,
Yeah.
but do you think, I don't know, that has been a trend in the past? I feel like there has been some pretty powerful people in that organization on both sides. Yeah,
Yeah, there are amazing women at all levels of the organization, but also at very high levels. Lisa Pantages is the chief financial officer of the
that's right.
organization and was part of the group that saved the Giants. And by saved, I mean like kept them in San Francisco.
That's right. That
And
was scary. Yeah,
yeah, so she's been with the team for, 20 plus years and is serves as a really great mentor for a lot of women in the organization
yeah,
because she's seen it all and has ridden the waves of a lot of people that are against women in executive roles within an organization,
yeah.
but
Let alone in sports organizations, where
exactly. Yeah,
yeah,
and let alone like in Major League Baseball, where I feel like we're kind of like a step behind some of the other leagues. Stacy Slaughter, she is, oh gosh, I don't. Her title is like executive vice president or
hmm,
president of communications, and um, essentially like has been the right hand woman for Larry Bear, our owner,
wow,
and also has been with the organization for 20 plus years, I believe. And
wow,
yeah, so she's also a huge mentor and somebody where when you're talking with her, it's so easy to talk to her. I think oftentimes people think that people with these crazy roles or these elaborate job titles are
yeah,
like not human and you can't be yourself around them. But I mean, Stacy, she's a runner
yeah,
and like a mom and is just so like she has a son that my boyfriend coaches and she's just such like a down to earth person, but is uber smart
yeah,
and creative and can think on her feet and really like keeps the organization,
right,
on a steady path in terms of a communications front.
yeah,
Uh, Fran Weld is another vice president in the organization, more like on the legal side,
hmm.
uh, and yeah, there's a lot. I believe it's like 50-50 men
That's
women.
amazing. And I honestly, that was a real question. It wasn't like a setup like, oh, JT is trying to make the Giants look good, because I really don't care. I want I want you to tell it.